and everything you can do off the fly on this. There's so much more that this keyboard does, which is also new technology, and I'll be happy to answer and show afterwards if anybody's, but as time is of the essence and that, I'm going to move back to Sean.
Thank you, Gareth. Just to say, okay, we're at the end now of this brief presentation through Roland's timeline as synthesizers. Hopefully there's, even for the Roland fans that are here, and I sense there's a lot here, hopefully I said the right things, I didn't get too many factual things incorrect. So even for you guys, I hope there's some stuff that you've picked up. I'm going to ask Gareth to close with a tune that I think is going to involve both. So a bit of Keith Emerson or Rick Waite style. No Kate. He's going to use both. And then following that, then we're going to go into a question and answer session with our three guests. And then following that will be an opportunity for you to come up and try these plus some others. So,
brilliant. The piece I'm going to play now is just an arrangement I've done. And what I want to point out, the backing track that I've done, every single sound that's on the backing track has come from the keyboard. It hasn't been sequenced. It's just been played in and recorded back as dot waves. And I've done it in the variation of the sort of style as James Bond, because he seems quite current at the moment. So.
Thank you very much, Gareth. That was great. Absolutely great. Okay, so we've got a great opportunity now as we have 3 guests with us, all of whom have used Roland equipment over the years as part of their sound and part of their musical careers. So I'd like to welcome these 3 gentlemen to the stage one by one. If we give them a very big round of applause, and it's your opportunity now as a question and answer to ask them anything you want to ask them about their careers, about how they use Roland equipment. I think Richard might be very pleased to show you his System 700 here, so anything goes. So first of all, can I welcome to the stage Richard Barbieri. And then we're also very, very privileged to have Graham Massey. And finally, but no means least, Jody Wisternoff. So if I might ask the guys at the back, just give us a little bit of house lights. And we've got a nice comfy couch here for these gentlemen. Richard's over there. So I'm going to give these gentlemen that chair. I'm on my headset. Richard's just...
I can work the synth, but I can't work this.
Just while Richard's getting his headset on, any questions from the audience?
Yeah. I'd like to ask Richard how the change in technology has affected the compositional process for you.
Right.
Nice easy one to start with.
A really big change was suddenly when you could actually save a sound. Working with something like this, in the 70s, it was easy to be expressive, but if you were working with rock or with pop music that kind of went through an arrangement, it was very difficult to kind of quickly get different sounds and to work with the arrangement. You'd kind of be stuck with one sound, which is why in a lot of kind of rock or prog music you'll have these solos, and that would basically be that keyboard would be the keyboard for solos, not much else. But if you wanted to kind of contribute to the arrangement, then you had to put a lot of programming in, and it's very difficult. So I think that, probably 1980, 81, when you were able to write your own sounds and store those sounds, it was then really possible to contribute, and not in such an obvious electronic way, to contribute to a track, especially working within kind of rock and pop music. So that was a big change for me.
Richard, how have you been able, do you think, to produce sounds that are so sort of analog in origin originally and then digital later, but that don't sound like synthesizers? They sound like sounds that we've never heard before. You seem to have a unique skill in that others have, not been able to achieve. How do you think you've done that?
Well, I think probably because I'm not really a keyboard player, because of my lack of technique, which I discovered early on. The keys became less important to me. What was more important was actually the controllers. So from quite an early age, I would try to make one sound do something interesting. Try to make that sound move, to modulate, and create something whereby I didn't have to be technically proficient. I also spent, years and years programming. I mean, a lot of people will sometimes go the easy route and think, right, I've got these sounds, I'll use that, then I'll use this. But I kind of spent a lot of time building up a catalogue of sounds and just generally getting used to working with electronics and programming.
How did you get the sound for the beginning of those?
That was done on this. It's one of the most complex sounds. I've tried and tried. I have the notes. I actually have the notes, and I've got close to it, but I've never managed to completely. But that's one note, as we're saying, yeah. And that's as much movement as I've probably put in one note. But it evolves over probably
20 seconds. And there's all sorts going on, and it's just that.
There's a lot of ring modulation.
It was a bit of everything, yeah. Yeah, a lot of modulation, a lot of linking sample and hold to the LFO section, a lot of patching. This is hardwired, so you don't need the patches, but obviously if you want to bypass things or do something more complex, then it's a great piece of kit to work with.
I think I saw a gentleman's hand up there. Yes, sir.
When you recorded Tin Drum, there's never been another album that sounded like that. It had a sound of its own. Did you plan for it to sound like that, or you were surprised at how it turned out in the end? There's such a fantastic collection of sounds on there, and at the same time, it's got that Oriental sound to it.
Yeah, I think we were very influenced by world music. Although it wasn't the type of music that, you know, sit down and listen to necessarily enjoy, but the sounds that were going on were very intriguing. Chinese music, Arabian music, Japanese music. And we were kind of using analog keyboards to try to mimic those sort of ethnic sounds. And of course, you can mimic it to a certain degree, but in the process, you actually come out with something quite interesting. Also, the way the album was composed was just in a rehearsal room. You know, it wasn't like now you go in and you lay on overdubs. So that's why it has this kind of jigsaw feel to it, where a lot of question and answer with the riffs, a lot of space, and between bass drums and keyboards, there's how these kind of patterns came together, because often you'd be playing one part at a time in a rehearsal room, so you'd feed off the other musician. Gradually, it just built up something that was quite sonically strange, and yeah, sounds pretty original, I guess.